All right, today we're putting on our detective hats to solve a mystery that's probably bugged all of us at some point. We're going to unpack the hidden weight of the web, and to do that, we're looking directly at the code.
So let's start with this. You know the feeling, right? You click a link, you've got a great connection, but the page just doesn't load. It just sort of sits there, slowly creeping into view, and you're left wondering, what is the holdup?
Well, it turns out the usual suspects, like giant images or videos, aren't always to blame. What if the real problem, the thing slowing everything down, is hiding in plain sight, in the very first thing your browser even looks at, the HTML file itself?
And I'm not talking about just a little bit of extra code. No way. We're seeing some websites ship a single HTML file that's over 5 megabytes. To put that in perspective, that is an absolutely massive amount of text to download before anything else can even start to happen. Okay, so where is all this weight coming from? Let's dive in and investigate the most common culprits. These are the things developers often do on purpose that just kind of get out of hand. First up on our list is a pretty clever trick called base64 encoding. It sounds super technical, but the idea is simple. It takes a whole image and turns it into one gigantic long string of text. That way, you can just stick the image right inside the HTML code. But this creates a really tricky trade-off. See, embedding the image means the browser doesn't have to go back to the server to grab it. That's a plus. The downside, though, it's a huge one. That data can't be saved or cached for your next visit, and it makes that initial HTML download way bigger, blocking everything else from showing up.
And it's not just pictures, either. The same exact thing can happen with the code that makes a page look pretty, the CSS. You can stuff all those style rules directly into the HTML. And just like with the images, that file can balloon to an enormous size.
And this is where it gets kinda wild. The inefficiency can be just staggering. In some of these bloated files, almost half the size comes from just the names of the elements being styled, not the actual style instructions themselves. That's a ton of repetitive, heavy text. So, those are the common offenders. But now we get to the real plot twist in our investigation. This is where we uncover the single biggest source of HTML bloat today. And honestly, it's something most people have probably never even heard of. It's called the hydration state. You see, in a lot of modern web apps, the server tries to be helpful. To make the page feel fast, it bundles up all the data the application could possibly need, product details, user profiles, the whole shebang, and crams it all directly into the HTML. And as you can probably guess, this initial pile of data can get unbelievably large, especially on big, complex sites. This quote just nails it perfectly. The server is sending over an entire warehouse of stuff when all you really needed was one tiny piece to get started. The way this stuff is nested can get just absurd. It's like a set of those Russian nesting dolls, but for code. You've got your main HTML document, okay? Inside that, there's a script tag. Inside the script, there's a mountain of data. Inside that data, you find another chunk of HTML, which, you guessed it, contains even more data. It's just layers on top of layers. So, for all you developers watching, here's a little field guide for you. You can spot this hidden cargo yourself. Just view the page source and search for these keywords. These are the dead giveaways that a big ol' hydration state is hiding in there. So, we've identified our suspects, embedded images, inline styles, and these massive hydration states. Now, let's get down to it. What's the real damage? How does this actually impact you, the user? Well, if you're on a powerful, brand new laptop, your browser can chew through a megabyte of HTML in just 6 milliseconds. I mean, that's basically instant. You'd never notice it. But what happens when you switch to a more average phone, the kind that billions of people are actually using? That same task takes over 13 times longer. At 80 milliseconds a megabyte, that delay starts to add up fast, especially when you're talking about a 5 megabyte file. And it's not just about processing time. A huge HTML download creates a traffic jam. Think of your internet connection as a single-lane road. That giant HTML file is like a slow-moving truck taking up the entire lane. Nothing else, not the critical files that make the page look right or work properly, can get through until that truck is done. And here's the real kicker. All that embedded baggage, the images, the styles, the data, it can't be saved by your browser. So every single time you visit another page on that same site, you have to download the whole truckload all over again. It's just so inefficient. So after all that, you're probably thinking that any large HTML file is a total performance disaster, right? Open and shut case. Well, the verdict is actually a little more complicated than you might think. Surprisingly, when you look at real-world data, some of these incredibly heavy websites can still manage to appear to load in under 2 seconds on a phone, which on the surface seems pretty good. But, and this is a big but, when you look closer, you find this hidden cost. There's often a delay of over half a second before the most important content, the actual reason you came to the page, finally shows up. The page might be visible, but what you need is still stuck in traffic. And that's really the main takeaway here. While a huge HTML file might not completely crash the party, it's always a performance drag. It's this constant, unnecessary weight slowing things down. And the crazy part is, a lot of the fixes are straightforward and can have a huge impact. Ultimately, it all comes down to being intentional, to being aware of what we're actually shipping across the wire to our users. It's a good reminder to look under the hood every once in a while, because you might be shocked at the hidden weight you find. So that leaves us with one final thought. What's hiding in your website's code?